William Bragg.
Can I welcome the appointments of my honourable friend, who is surely one of the ablest ministers in his Manchester's government? And I would be interested to know of his recent assessments on the television production industry of Wales and the ever-expanding media city in Greater Manchester.
Well, I thank my honourable friend for that question, and he will know much more about that particular issue than I do. But of course, Manchester is near to North Wales, and the success of Manchester influences the media performance within North Wales also.
We now come to Philip Oliver.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I was delighted to hear the first shipment of British lamb left from Wales to the USA last month. The USA lamb market is estimated to be worth £37 million over the next 5 years, with over 300 million consumers who can now access and enjoy our world-renowned Welsh lamb.
Mr. Speaker, it's great that Welsh lamb has now been exported to the United States for the first time in 20 years. The National Farmers Union has set out a detailed strategy outlining its ambition to grow the UK's food, drink and agricultural exports by 30% by 2030. Will the Minister work with the NFU to realise this laudable ambition to drive the total value of British agri-food exports to over £30 billion by that date?
Well, I certainly will, and I look forward to attending the Royal Welsh Winter Fair next week, when I'll be meeting the NFU. Wales has a major role in achieving increased exports, and when it comes to lamb, of course, trade deals with the Gulf Cooperation Council, among others, could be key.
Shadow Minister Gerald Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I too welcome the Minister to his new role. The Minister would know how important lamb exports are to Welsh farmers and the Welsh economy. Exports to the US are indeed a drop in the ocean compared to the damage his government has done with the Australian and New Zealand trade deals. We know his colleague, the member for Camborne and Redruth, said, "I no longer have to put a gloss on what was agreed. Australia was not actually a very good deal. We did not need to give Australia or New Zealand full liberation on beef or sheep. It was not in our economic interest to do so." So, will the Minister now admit his government has sold out Welsh farmers, hasn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think he'll recognise that we import more from Ireland than from Australia, and in actual fact, if you look at Australia and New Zealand, their markets are very much in Southeast Asia in terms of rapidly expanding markets. So we need to look at the pros and cons of trade deals, and there are certainly many pros to the trade deals for the British economy.
Tonia Antoniazzi.
Question number 7, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Wales plays a critical role with 2 of the UK's 3 liquefied natural gas terminals supplying gas through Pembrokeshire to the grid. Wales is well placed to build on this record, with prime sites for new nuclear projects in North Wales and floating offshore wind in the Celtic Sea. We will continue to champion these opportunities across government.
We now come to Chair Select Committee, Stephen Crowell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. At the Welsh Affairs Select Committee this morning, we've been hearing from the Energy Minister on the enormous potential of floating offshore wind to contribute to UK energy security. On a day when Port Talbot and Milford Haven are launching their joint Freeport bid to deliver this new industry, can I really urge my honourable friend to throw his weight behind unleashing the potential of floating offshore wind in the Celtic Sea?
Well, I thank my right honourable friend, and actually had a meeting only yesterday with a developer that is interested in floating offshore wind. It has the potential to contribute massively to the renewable energy requirements that this country requires, and of course South West Wales is absolutely key to that.
Teresa Villiers.
Question number 10, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Right Honourable Member has long championed a deposit return scheme since her time as Secretary of State for DEFRA. DEFRA regularly discussed coordination of the implementation of the scheme with the Welsh Government, and it was an agenda item at the recent Environment, Food and Rural Affairs Interministerial Group, which I attended.
Teresa Villiers.
This is a really important scheme. It will help tackle plastic waste and litter. People want it to be introduced. It'll be much more successful if it's coordinated between Cardiff, Edinburgh and London. Please, can the government make progress on delivering it right across the United Kingdom?
Yeah.
Well, I couldn't agree more. Non-aligned deposit return schemes across the UK risk creating barriers to trade, breaking up supply chains, increasing costs to business and reducing the choice and availability of products in Wales. And in recent days I've met the Society of Independent Brewers, British Glass, the Wine and Spirit Trade Association and UK Hospitality to discuss these issues, and I'll be doing all I can to encourage UK-wide coordination.